So, hello, gentlemen. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us about automation and the challenges and some of the success you've had to date. If we could just start, please, by both of you just introducing yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourselves, please.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Michael Wilby. I'm head of business systems and development at here at Midland Heart. Midland Heart is one of the large housing associations based in the Midlands, about 35,000 properties and good 70,000 customers. And we do a mixture of in-house development and configuration of major systems as well to support our tenants.
Yep. Hello, everyone. My name is Olubenga Adesola. I'm one of the solution integration and testing engineers for Midland Heart. Primarily, I support our digital projects, provide test function for that project, and oftentimes I get also pulled into our other projects as well and provide test function for those projects as well. I have been with Midland Heart for quite a while. Started as application support expert, and then I became a test engineer. So bringing my application knowledge and experience into testing to make sure that we always test our applications and they are always fit for purpose to meet today's business challenges.
Thank you both. So we're interested in discussing with you some of the automation capability that actually sits within Midland Heart. And I think it's fair to say that you are going towards achieving quite a high percentage of automated driven scripts and effort over your total testing effort. So I guess my first question is how does that actually sort of look like? What sort of percentages do you find you're going to be able to and are achieving? And how have you gone about actually being able to do this, please?
Okay, so perhaps I'll pick this up first from you, Benga. Where we've been focusing our effort and attention is around around our core systems. So particularly our housing management system, which is kind of the centre of the web of everything. And the housing management systems are effectively sort of niche ERP solutions and quite detailed. One of our challenges has been to stay very sort of aligned on the upgrade path, and this creates a huge amount of work. These complex systems have a massive business impact if they're not put in correctly, and every upgrade is quite a potential for impact. So we started our journey with Resillion, looking at how we could mature that process. And we produced a whole load of scripts, really separating out our system testing and our SIT from our UAT. And then when we started looking at automation, it was driven by us realizing that for every single upgrade, we were spending in the order of 50 or more man days just to test that system. And actually, as patches and new functionality comes out, very hard to deliver that kind of change and that agility to the business without taking a huge amount of time. And that takes away, as you heard from Benga, who's supposed to be doing quite a lot of testing on our other projects. I'll let Benga pick up a bit on actually what we did, but the result is we looked at the number of scripts that we could potentially automate and realized there was quite a large number. I think we're talking in the order of sort of 75 to 80% of our basic regression pack can be done, and that means that our testing should go down from 50 days to the order of about 10, and that'll allow us to focus on what's changed and what's new. Benga.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Michael. Just as Michael put it, before we got to where we are today, our testing has always been manual intensive, so spend quite a lot of time. We do go through a lot of changes with our applications, our housing applications, a lot of upgrades every year. and which require a lot of testing every single time. And that takes a lot of time and effort in terms of resources. So we realized if we keep on that path, it wouldn't really be sustainable in terms of efficiency. So we realized, automation is the right thing for us to do next. And we explored and reviewed all our test cases, quite a lot of them really. And then we were able to find those candidates for automation, and that kickstarted the journey really.
That's excellent. Okay, and to actually achieve this, what was this a purely internal effort? Was it more of an external effort, or did you sort of blend the balance using internal, external expertise? And how did that actually work if that was the case?
Do you want to pick this up, Benga?
Yeah, we actually made a few attempts, initially. So because we thought this was something that we could just go out there, pick up a solution or a tool off the shelf, and then try and use them for automation purposes. I would say that didn't really go well. And in hindsight, if we look at what we didn't probably follow the process we could have followed. And this was something that I thought we could do on my own at the time. I just asked, could you give me funds to have this tool and try them out? But it didn't work because from the lesson from the back of that was we needed to do a bit more initial work, like discovery in terms of our environment and platforms, and also be able to review what sort of testing we could automate, review what is the applicable or appropriate tool we could use. And when those questions started coming up, that's when we realized actually this is probably something that we could not handle ourselves. So we realized we probably need more expertise.
Right.
And in-house, we didn't really have that. So we got this steer from Michael, who said, okay, you know what, let's bring in experts, let's talk to them, let them give us some guidance. And that was what led to the third party involvement. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'd add to that as well. It's as Benga says, you can experiment with this stuff, but actually you don't know what you don't know. And where I think our real partnership on this has come is that not only was Resillion helping us mature our test processes internally anyway, but it was the fact that Resillion was able to come and talk to us about what we wanted to achieve, how we wanted to do it. Didn't try and sell us a particular technology. It was looking at what was appropriate for what we were trying to do. And I think also understood that whilst we needed a lot of help implementing it in the first place, our vision is that we can maintain and manage the regression packs ourselves going forward. But when there's any heavy lifting to do, so a new product comes in or there's a big update to a system, maybe we're bringing a whole load of new functionality in. At that point, we'll be looking to fall back on that partnership and say, actually, how can you help us? Can you get this one over the line for us? And I think the other bit to say is that where I'm looking for this to go is that whilst with regression testing, you quite often pick your battles. You're looking at how much of a change you're making to the system, and then you'll cut that down accordingly. And that's the one way to manage your sort of scarcity of resources. With this solution, what we're really hoping to do is see the assurance go right up through the roof, because actually we'll just run the entire suite every time we make a change.
Yeah.
No, okay. So that makes sense. So you've got that lovely balance then now in place that you can sort of bring in Resillion when you need them, but at the same time you have a self-sufficiency now in place and understanding that you can progress things yourself as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it'll be very interesting for people listening to this who may be struggling with automation or trying to actually make it effective and efficient. If you were a question to each of you really, sort of list the things that you think you need to get in place beforehand and actually sort of consider what needs to be done to actually make automation successful, what would those lists look like? And I'll throw that over to the floor. It'd be great to hear from both of you.
For me, I think it's you can't run before you can walk. So you need to actually understand where you are in your own testing capability and the maturity of that. A lot of our success has been underpinned by the scripts that we had done for manual testing purposes, and that was properly understanding the separation of system testing, system integration testing, and UAT, and where this would all be applicable, and then determining out of those test cases which could be automated, which could be partially automated, which couldn't be automated at all, because there'll always be a chunk we found that has to be run manually. Once you've got that sorted, and if you're not sure what you're doing, it's always useful to get some expert advice on that. But once you've got that in place, that then allows you to look at the systems that you want to automate. But there's probably something here as well. It is an investment, and you have to be sure that there's a return on it. So with our core housing system, no question at all, because we're putting updates on it several times a year, and the risk around it is significant. So this will be a huge benefit, and really will. You can write the business case to say this is the amount of resource days we will save, which will then be available for working on other projects. Where it might not be so appropriate is if you're doing one-off implementations, or the upgrade cycle is either very small or it's very long term. So a lot of it for me is about looking at the business case, realizing how you can bring those benefits in, both in terms of resources and managing your risk.
Okay, that sounds good. Benga?
Yeah, if I just may add to what Michael said, it's pretty much cover everything there, to be honest. Yeah, just to add to that, when you considering automation, it has to be where continuous testing is important. So where you know, in an environment where you always have to constantly test, and volume is also very important, because you will have to be able to assess the value that you're going to get from, because automation can be, it could be a sort of expensive journey depending on how much of automation you're doing, but there's a cost to it, you see, how much small or large it is. So you have to weigh to see, is it worth automating this test? Is there some element of continuous testing that is really required? And as Michael said, your test cases must be in such a state that they are ready, they are mature enough for automation. So first step is make sure you have them reviewed and make sure you have them all well up to date. Make sure that your test data are also relevant and applicable. It might also require you have a dedicated environment for automation. It could be just a server somewhere, a box somewhere that it needs to have its own place, really, to be honest. Depending on the environment as well, it could be you have certain tools in place that you also have to, you know, connect your pipelines and, you know, link that to your automation and all that. And then the tool you use as well, like I said earlier, has to be relevant to your infrastructure and environment. You have to choose wisely.
Okay, that sounds terrific. Okay. Well, that's great, gentlemen. Thank you. It's very much appreciated for your time and your thoughts on the subject of test automation. As I say, I think this will be of great interest to our audience. And good luck for your programs and projects in the future.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks,
you.
Rich.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.